I'll show you what it's like every single day. Putting in the work, ain't no other way. Everything you see in your dreams can come true. You gotta understand that it all starts with you. You wanna make it, you gotta go hard tonight. You gotta go hard tonight. I started thinking about 55 at 21.
Hi, I'm Kristen Hayman, and you're watching the Strong, Empowered, and Classy Project. And today, I'm so excited to be sitting down with Rhonda Coleman. She is a lawyer. She is that powerful force. Like, I used to call her, well, I still kind of call her Olivia Pope. Like, she will come to fix it. And that from, like, the other messy part. No. I'm talking about the fixer, the one that gets things done. And you have strength, empowerment in class, and I just knew I had to interview you, so I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you, Kristen. I'm happy to be here.
So I want to start off, like, tell the guests or the viewers what you do and who you are.
Okay, so my name is Rhonda, and I'm a lawyer. But I've not always been a lawyer. Before becoming a lawyer, I was a teacher. For 10 years, I taught high school English students. And I, gave a lot of myself, to my students every day. And I decided that I didn't have enough left for me at the end of the day anymore. And I wanted to switch careers and pick a career where I got to pour into myself. So when I was in undergrad, I considered becoming a lawyer. And I was just like, too much reading. Not ready for law school.
See?
So I was like, I'm going to be a teacher. I'm going to enjoy that. And so I got divorced and decided I needed a change. So I picked law. I did some research, took 6 months off of teaching to study for the LSAT and to apply to law schools. Traveled to New York, visited schools there, studied one-on-one with this guy who was like a specialist with the LSAT to make sure that I got a high enough score to get into a great school. Visited schools in Chicago. I'm rambling a little bit. I'm sorry.
No, this is great.
Because I had a couple of degrees from schools in Tennessee, where I'm from. But I was like, I need to get my professional degree from either New York or Chicago. Those are very powerful markets.
Right.
So I applied to Loyola in Chicago and got in. I'm very, very happy with the choice that I made. This was about 5 years ago. I enjoy being a lawyer. I learn something new every day, all the time. I feel like the sky's the limit. I could be a corporate attorney, which I am.
Yes.
When I worked for Big Ten Network, that's essentially what I did. I could be a litigator if I wanted to. It's not my thing.
Okay.
So the sky's the limit with law.
Wow. See, there was so much there right there. So I didn't know you started off in education. That is so interesting. Because, and you also said something, I want to make sure I remember, that you were trying to start law because it was like a lot of studying, a lot of reading. And that's like the same thing I've been through. Like, I think I had an uncle that was like, yeah, you going into law. And I'm like, no, because y'all not getting me like that. No. But that is so interesting. I'm glad you basically did a restart. You refreshed yourself. Like, what about education? Okay, I know education. I almost wanted to be a teacher. My sister is a teacher now, and she loves it. She has to stay on every day, though, And it's like every student has their own personality, their own story that you have to deal with. And so it's more than just educating them.
Exactly.
You're the therapist,
You're the
the doctor, you're everything.
Exactly.
So what about that? Like, how long did you stay with education?
So I was a teacher for 10 years.
10 years, wow.
And my favorite part of being a teacher was that part.
Okay.
My students, I taught high school students. I was fresh out of college. So I was young. I looked younger than some of them. But they respected me because I'm the teacher,
right.
You're the student. But I respected them too, which is why, it worked.
Right.
So I understood, that they had problems at home sometimes that they needed to talk about, or they wanted to come into my class and, we would start the day off with a brain teaser / have a little fun.
Nice.
Before we moved into the real stuff. I taught English, which is not always their favorite subject because there's lots of reading and writing. But I loved it. You know, they saw that I loved it. I was able to share that with them. So it worked. You know, then I got my summers off because I had children.
Oh, yeah.
Two
That's
little
perfect,
girls.
right?
So summers off, Christmas off. So I got to continue my college schedule,
Nice.
if you
Yeah,
will.
Yeah.
And time passed and it worked. And then it didn't work
It didn't.
anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you weren't afraid. Were you afraid? Like, how could you just change everything? Go
I
back
know.
to
You know,
school?
when I look back
Mm-hmm.
and I say, girl, you were crazy. No, I was brave, you know, because
Yeah.
my girls, when I made the choice to change and not just change careers, but move from Memphis, Tennessee, where all of my
Right.
family is, to Chicago, Illinois,
Right.
with a, 5 and 7-year-old or 7 and 9-year-old. They were 7 and 9.
Right.
To start law school, which is no joke.
Mm-hmm.
It's not an easy task.
How long did it take to get through law school?
3 years.
3 years?
3
Okay.
years. But I loved every minute of it. It was something that I wanted to do. I was so excited to study.
See?
So
Look at
excited to go to class every day. You know, I felt like I was working toward this goal.
Something, yeah.
And I was just learning something new all the time. So I ate it up and I was growing as a
Wow.
woman,
Look at that.
as a professional, you know, because I am doing it in a brand new city. So I loved it. I loved every minute of it.
See, I'm inspired by that because you can see the passion in your eyes as it builds. And you didn't say much bad about education. You just knew it was time to start something new.
Exactly.
And it was great because you were doing English, so you were reading and writing. You were already in that, you know, exercise already to, you know, use your brain for that moment to study more and learn new things. And you inspired your students that way. You're like,
Right.
go ahead. Don't be afraid to write. Don't be
Exactly.
afraid. So now the same thing that scared you before is what fueled you.
Exactly.
That's so interesting. So, okay, so this is great. So now I want to know about your strength because this is the Strong, Empowered, and Classy project. And we got so much right there in the intro. Look at that.
Okay.
So what makes you strong?
Let me think. I'm not really sure if that's a question to ask me because I'm in it, right? I
Yeah.
just do what I have to do.
Yeah.
I've always been driven, you know, if I listen to my friends and my family, I've always been mature, you know, very organized, known what I wanted, how I wanted it to go.
Okay.
And that was from a little kid, you know, based according to my mother. But for me, it's like failure is not an option. And I think that's what drives me. It's like, I know I can do this and I'm not going to stop until it's done.
Whew.
And I think that's what drives me.
Wow. So like you were born with this.
I
You
think
really
so.
you're like what? There's no other way.
I was born with it, but I also had strong supportive parents
Okay.
who wanted the best for me, you know, who made the best decisions for me that they could when it came to schools and opportunities.
Did they have similar traits as you?
I would say in different ways.
In different ways,
You know, my
okay.
parents were born in the 40s, 40 and 45, so I have older parents.
Okay.
I adopted.
Really? Okay.
So they adopted me as an infant.
Wow, beautiful.
Yeah. So you know, they made the conscious choice that they wanted to raise a child. And I think when people adopt children, they want to do everything right, you know. So I had the benefit of that, you know, being loved very much. And then when I was 21, 22, I met my birth parents. So I have a second set of parents who also love me very much, you know, made the choice that they did because they were young and just weren't able to take care of a child. So they've been a very important part of my life too.
So you've been able to stay connected.
Yes.
Beautiful.
So I have two sets of parents. Both are very supportive, who, you know, support my dreams.
Yeah. So do you appreciate them for it now?
I
know.
do. You know, as you grow, everything's not perfect
Yeah.
when you're a kid, but I think that you have to, as an adult, you have to be mature and you have to look past the mistakes and see what their goal or objective was, you know, what they were trying to accomplish.
Right.
And
I'm glad you were able to find them again. Like a lot of people aren't able to meet their parents after going through adoption. That's a beautiful thing. So did you see a little bit of your traits in them? Were you able to?
I do.
You're still like trying to figure out why am I this way?
I mean, I see.
Yeah.
It's interesting because obviously I think about it some.
Yeah.
I just feel like I'm very blessed because
Yes, you are.
all of them are healthy adults, you know, healthy, professional, successful
Right.
grown-ups,
Nice.
And so I get something from all of them,
Got it.
something different, from all of them. Like my parents who raised me went through the 60s, with Martin Luther King. So I get that
Wow. Yeah.
history from
And
them.
down south, right?
Right.
Oh, wow.
Down south.
Rich history.
Yeah. And so then from my birth parents who were considerably younger than my parents, I get like a fresh perspective and kind of get the green light to be me, So that's good.
Okay. I love this. See, this was magical. We're just getting to learn more. All right. So this is where your strength comes from. What are you most empowered by?
I'll show you what it's like every single day.